The Assembly is now in session. The 7th-member hold-in notices the absence of a quorum. The Sergeant-at-Arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. The clerk will call the roll.
Ashajian, Alejo, Allen, Baker, Bigelow, Bloom, Bonilla, Bonta, Bro, Brown, Burke, Calderon, Campos, Chang, Chow, Chavez, David Chu, Canson Chu, Cooley, Cooper, DeBobne, Daly, Daly, Dodd, Eggman, Frazier, Gaines, Gallagher, Christina Garcia, Eduardo Garcia, Gatto, Gibson, Gomez, Gonzalez, Gordon, Gray, Grove, Hadley, Harper, Hernandez, Holden, Irwin, Jones, Jones Sawyer, Kim, Lackey, Levine, Linder, Lopez, Lowe, Mainshine, Mathis, Mays, McCarty, Medina, Melendez, Mullen, Nazarian, Obernolte, O'Donnell, Olson, Patterson, Perea, Quirk, Rendon, Riley Thomas, Rodriguez, Salas, Santiago, Steinorth, Stone, Thurmond, Ting, Wagner, Waldron, Weber, Wilk, Williams, Wood. Madam Speaker.
Members, a quorum is present. A quorum is present. in the assembly? We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer. The day's prayer will be offered by our assembly chaplain, Father Constantine Papadimos. Father Papadimos.
Let us pray. Lord, we know that you love us and want the best for us, even when we don't ask you for anything. The only thing for us to do is to show that we love you, that we believe in you, and that we trust you. So today we ask for nothing from you, Lord. Instead, we offer you glory, praise, and thanks for all the things you have given us already. Amen.
Thank you, Father. We ask our guests and visitors to remain standing and join us for the flag salute. Please join Assemblymember Obernolte as he leads us in the pledge. Mr. Obernolte.
Please join me in honoring the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Thursday, June 18, 2015. The Assembly met at 9 a.m. The Honorable Kevin Mullen, Speaker Pro Tem of the Assembly, presiding. Chief Clerk E. Dodson Wilson at the desk. Reading Clerk Kathleen M. Lewis reading. The roll was called. Assemblymember Holden moved the quorum call. The Assembly.
Mr. Holden moves and Ms. Waldron seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions. There are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Moving to motions and resolutions, the absences for the day. For legislative business, Assemblymember O'Donnell. For personal business, Assembly members Lowe and Perea. Mr. Holden, you are recognized for your procedural motions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 118 and allow Assembly members Eggman, Rodriguez, and Wilk to have guests and photographers on the floor today. Mr. Rodriguez's guest will be seated at his desk for the introduction.
Without objection, the request is granted.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 and allow Assembly members Brown, Grove, Kim, Melendez, and Salas to speak on adjourned memories today.
Without objection, the request is granted.
Pursuant to Assembly Rule 96, I request unanimous consent to re-refer the following bill to committee. Senate Bill 295 Jackson from the Revenue and Taxation Committee to the Rules Committee. Senate Bill 399 Hall from the Governmental Organization Committee to the Rules Committee. Senate Bill 763 Leno from the Environmental Safety and Toxic Materials Committee to the Business and Professions Committee, then back to the Environmental Safety and Toxic Material Committee.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to allow Assemblymember Gray to print a letter in the Journal relative to Senate Bill 88, the Water and Drought Budget Trailer Bill.
Without objection, the request is granted.
On behalf of Assemblymember Chow, I request unanimous consent to withdraw Assembly Bill 745, Chow, from engrossing and enrolling and hold at the Assembly desk.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members, we are moving to guest introductions. Dr. Eggman has guests with us in the Assembly today. Dr. Eggman will address us from Mr. O'Donnell's desk. You have the floor.
Thank you, and good morning, members. Happy Monday to everybody. I rise with great pride today as a representative who represents the city of Stockton. And people may have heard we've had our share of troubles over the year. Twice before, we were awarded the All-American City, and there was a lot of props and singing and dancing. But this time, members, when we went to perform for the All-American City, we did it different. We took the disparities that we have in our city and brought them to light through collaborations with elected officials, with nonprofits, with people who are participants in 109, with Chief of Probation, 41 people strong. They went from the youngest of a 7-year-old child to the Chief of Probation, to 2 elected officials, everybody standing together to say, everybody must count. We must break the pathway of young men of color from schools to jails. We must change that, and we can only do that through collaboration, through standing together, through creating our own truth. So for 10 minutes, this group stood in front of everybody. The judges said, you broke my heart and you won my heart, as they did the whole thing in spoken word. I am so proud to represent the city of Stockton as we stand here today with my friend and people I've been organizing with for years, Tama Brisbane, City Council Member Michael Tubbs, young people who work with fathers and family, and there's more up above. Members, please join me in giving them the award and recognition they deserve.
Members, we have additional special guests today. We could have your attention. Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez has guests with him, very special guests on the floor today. Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Joining me here today on the floor is my 2 grandsons, Jaden and Jacob. They'll be spending the week with me and learning about things here in Sacramento. We'd like to welcome them onto the floor with me. Thank you.
Members, we are moving to business on the daily file. Second reading. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 292, 432, 575 with amendments, 598 with amendments, and Senate Bill 189 with amendments.
Members, we are going to be taking up concurrence items. If you could have your attention, members, plenty of business before us today, beginning with file item number 6. That's ACR 71. The clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 71 by Assemblymember Dodd and others relative to Elder and Vulnerable Adult Abuse Awareness Month.
Members, Mr. Dodd, you may open on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. ACR 71 proclaims June as Elder and Vulnerable Adult Abuse Month. It is back for concurrence in the Senate amendments. These amendments confirm California's recognition of the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day of June 15th and added Senate co-authors. Thank you. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
See no discussion or debate on this item. The clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 73, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item number 7, AB 87. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 87 by Assemblymember Mark Stone and others and accolating to jurors.
Mr. Stone, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 87 is back to us with amendments from the Senate, which we're clarifying. This is the bill that adds the discrimination sections to the jury code that prohibits discrimination in the peremptory challenge process, and request your aye votes.
See no discussion or debate on this item. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 64, noes 4. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 8. That's AB 162. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 162 by Assemblymember Rodriguez and others and accolating the state highways and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Rodriguez, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 162 seeks to reduce the deadly number of wrong-way driving crashes that occur on our freeways by requiring Caltrans to update their 1989 wrong-way driver report to account for technological advancements. The Senate amendments require that Caltrans submit a preliminary report and the final report to the legislature by specific dates and add an urgency clause. The bill has support on both sides. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 73, no 0 on the urgency. Ayes 73, no 0 on the measure. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 9 is pass and retain. File item 10. That's AB 539. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 539 by Assemblymember Levine and accolating the search warrants.
Mr. Levine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 539 is back on concurrent Senate amendments address chaptering out issues. Thank you. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Levine. Seeing no additional discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 72, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 11 is pass and retain. Moving to file item 12, that's AB 715. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 715 by Assemblymember Daley and accolating to land use.
Mr. Daly.
Thank you, Speaker and members. AB 715 is a minor technical bill that clarifies the definition of accessible space. This clarification will ensure that all school districts and local building officials across our state interpret the law consistently. I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 72, noes 2. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 13, AB 774. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 774 by Assemblymember Levine, an act relating to alcoholic beverages.
Mr. Levine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 774 is back on concurrence. I'd be delighted by your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 74, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 14, AB 1104. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1104 by Assemblymember Rodriguez and others, an act relating to search warrants.
Mr. Rodriguez, you may again open.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 1104 would clarify that a search warrant for controlled substances is already authorized in the Health and Safety Code by referencing such provision in Penal Code. The Senate amendments address chaptering out issues. The bill has support on both sides. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 71, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File items 15 through 23, pass and retain. We are moving to file item 24. That's H.R. 25. Clerk will read.
House Resolution 25 by Assemblymember Medina and others, an act relative to Immigrant Heritage Month.
Mr. Medina, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. H.R. 25 declares the month of June as Immigrant Heritage Month, an occasion that allows us to celebrate our origins as a nation of immigrants. This country is nothing if it is not a nation of immigrants. My own family immigrated to the United States from the country of Panama, like millions of immigrants before and millions of immigrants after. My parents came to this country seeking a better opportunity for us, the children, and we found it here in California. And so it continues today, whether it is immigrants working in the fields, immigrants working in laboratories. We are very grateful to all the immigrants who have come to our country and the culture and heritage that they bring to us, making us a great country and a great state of California. I respectfully request that the first roll be open for co-authors.
Thank you, Mr. Medina. Mr. Jones Sawyer, you are recognized.
I stand today as chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus in support of H.R. 25, which declares the month of June as Immigrant Heritage Month. Immigration is sacred to our nation because, with the exception of Native Americans, we are all descendants of people who came from someplace else. Of course, my ancestors did not come here willingly, but were able to overcome the atrocities and adversities of slavery and strive towards the hope and opportunity that America stands for people from around the world. Regardless of when or how we arrived or where we came from, that as Americans, we remain bound together by a set of ideals that we all are created equal and that anyone can succeed if they work hard, regardless of the circumstances of their birth. So, as we recognize June 2015 as Immigrant Heritage Month, let us continue to remember that this country was built by immigrants. We continue to make great contributions to our nation and our great state of California. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Jones-Sawyer. Ms. Chang, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am proud to stand in support of H.R. 25 as an immigrant myself. Immigrants came to California for many reasons. Some came to escape war, famine, or religious oppression. Others came looking for opportunities that their home countries were not able to offer, and this is why my parents brought me over from Taiwan as a child. I am proud that California was and is the place of freedom and hope. California would not exist were it not for the hard work and contributions of immigrants. Chinese Americans literally built modern California from the ground up with the Transcontinental Railroad. We would not be the state that feeds the world without the hard work of our Latino farmers and farm workers. Indian Americans are leading the way both as farmers and in technology. We are all enriched by the economic, political, and cultural contributions of immigrants who came from countries around the world to build a better life for themselves and their families. California is proud of our tradition of legal immigration. I am hopeful that Washington will get their act together and pass comprehensive immigration reform so we have more California immigrant success stories for years to come. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Chang. Mr. Levine, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise in support of H.R. 25 on behalf of the Jewish Caucus and thank the author for bringing this measure forward. H.R. 25 proclaims the month of June as Immigrant Heritage Month. During the month of June, we celebrate generations of immigrants and their contributions to our great nation. My district is home to Angel Island. Almost 1 million immigrants were processed at Angel Island Immigration Station. Roughly 175,000 were Chinese, 117,000 were Japanese, and between 75 and 80% of all entered America successfully. When we think about our immigration heritage, let us also reflect on what occurred just in this past year. Late last summer, we recognized that thousands of unaccompanied minor immigrants came to America escaping violence and exploitation. This received much media attention, and I am proud that we acted on this problem here in the California legislature. While far too many Americans wanted to send them back to the violence and exploitation, it is my hope that these children will be able to make their home here in California and contribute to our immigration heritage. Their experience is not unlike what happened in 1939 with the voyage of the St. Louis. On that voyage were 937 passengers. Almost all were Jews fleeing from the Third Reich. They were headed to America by way of Cuba. And after Cuba denied entry, there was international media attention. Though U.S. newspapers generally portrayed the plight of the passengers with great sympathy, only a few journalists and editors had the courage to suggest that the refugees be admitted to the United States. Following the United States government's refusal to permit passengers to come to America, the St. Louis returned to Europe. Many Jews were sent back to their homes. 532 of the St. Louis's passengers were later trapped when Germany conquered Western Europe. Just over half, 278, survived the Holocaust. 254 of them were murdered by the Nazis. I urge that we celebrate our immigration heritage and that we learn from history and open our arms to immigrants. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Levine. Ms. Waldron, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. California's culture has been enriched by immigrants. People of many different backgrounds and traditions share food, music, and celebrations of cultures from thousands of miles away. I come from a family of immigrants. In fact, my father was born in Donegal, Ireland, and came to the United States to escape famine and poverty. And my mom's family all came from Italy, from Bari and Naples area, and came to the United States. They didn't speak any English at all. My mom had to learn it in school without any help from anyone at home, but she did achieve that and went on to graduate with a degree in pharmacy, which was kind of unheard of back in the day. But like my mom's family, they ran a community grocery store, which these jobs, these small business jobs, are the key to improving our economy and the economy of immigrants when they come here. Since the 1800s, California has been seen as the land of opportunity. Every person in this room either chose to come here and build a life or is descended from someone who did. I'm proud of our history, and I'm proud to recognize Immigrant Heritage Month.
Thank you, Ms. Waldron. Mr. Alejo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I also rise in support of this resolution as a grandchild of immigrants who came to this country during the 1950s during the Bracero program to work as migrant farm workers. This resolution is a reminder and a celebration of the important roles that immigrants play in our society and the great impact that they have on our Golden State. California depends on the hard work and dedication of immigrants that they provide to our economy, and they play an important role in shaping California, and they are truly the backbone of California's economy. Our state is constantly making advances and leading in various fields, including health, technology, education, and agriculture, advancements which may have not happened had it not been for immigrants in our state. Without these individuals and their contributions, our state wouldn't be the 7th largest economy in the world. And instead of creating barriers for California's immigrant, our state, continues to invest in them. We must continue to be inclusive, compassionate, and supportive of immigrants who thrive in our state. And yes, when nativist billionaires also demonize immigrants with hate speech by calling them criminals, drug dealers, and rapists, we should all condemn such hurtful words. That's the type of xenophobic rhetoric that incites hate crimes against them. I want to thank NBC and Univision for taking necessary action this past week. But I'm also proud of the people of California who today recognize the hard work, the hard contributions, the dreams and aspirations of immigrants and their children to have a better life and continue to contribute to California's economy. We have a lot to be proud of, that so much has changed in the last 20 years within our state since Proposition 187, and we should all stand in support of this resolution today.
Mr. Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I also rise in support. 40 years ago, over 100,000 Vietnamese refugees fled their country with the fall of Saigon. They left their country on boats and in military airlifts, fleeing communist oppression in Vietnam and seeking a life of freedom in the United States. Many of these Vietnamese immigrants settled in Orange County, and I'm very proud that Orange County now has the largest number of Vietnamese American residents outside of Vietnam. Our hardworking Vietnamese immigrants have shown what they can accomplish given the opportunity. They built successful small businesses. They are creating jobs, and their local economies are all thriving. They are also a growing, powerful political voice, as evidenced by the election of Assemblyman Van Tran, Senator Janet Wen, Supervisor Andrew Doe, and many other mayors and city council members. As we celebrate Immigrant Heritage Month, I join in celebrating California's hardworking immigrants who have made our state such a unique place as they reach for their own American dream.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Dr. Reagan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise today as the chair of the LGBT caucus to also lend our support to H.R. 25 by my colleague from Riverside. Members, a lot of immigrants from other parts of the world where you can still be put to death for being LGBT have come to this place as a beacon of hope, as a place where justice reigns. And so we are proud to stand strong with many of our immigrant brothers and sisters who comprise parts of our community, and certainly representing the Central Valley as I do. We know the impact and the contributions that immigrants have made, and so I stand in strong support of H.R. 25 today.
Seeing no additional discussion on this item, Mr. Medina is asking, Mr. Medina, you may close if you wish.
I just want to thank my colleagues for very eloquently giving us the contributions of immigrants in the history of not only the state of California, but in the United States, and respectfully request that the first roll be open for co-authors.
Mr. Medina is asking the first roll will be open for co-authors. Members, the clerk will open the roll. This is for co-authors on H.R. 25. Co-authors adding on H.R. 25. The clerk will close the roll. There are 75 co-authors added. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. We are going to pass temporarily on file item 25. We're going to move to Senate third reading, file item 31. That's SB 422. Clerk will read.
Senate Bill 422 by Senator Monning and others, an act relating to the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority.
Mr. Stone, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, I am bringing SB 422 for Senator Monning to our floor. What this bill does is it is with respect to the Santa Clara County Open Space Authority, does two things. Changes their name to the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority to avoid confusion with county agencies. And it allows them to do what many other open space authorities do, and that is to acquire and manage properties that are outside of their jurisdiction. They do need to be natural properties. And with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 68, no 0. Measure passes. File items 32 and 33 pass and retain. File item 34, that's SCR 68. The clerk will read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 68 by Senator Galgiani and others relative to 2015 California Invasive Species Action Week.
Mr. Dodd, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, SCR 68 by Senator Galgiani would declare June 6th through June 14th as the 2015 California Invasive Species Action Week. Organized by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, the California Invasive Species Action Week is designed to promote public awareness of invasive species issues and encourage all Californians to take action to prevent their spread. Their destructive impact is profound, causing enormous losses of private and public resources. This week provides the opportunity to be engaged in this effort, and I encourage everyone to participate in this week. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Dodd, would you like co-authors on the item?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Dodd's requesting the first roll be open for co-authors. With that, the clerk will open the roll. Members, this is for co-authors on SCR 68. Co-authors adding on SCR 68. The clerk will close the roll. There are 68 co-authors added. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. File item 35. That's SCR 6. Clerk will read.